Most people know me as the guy who started VidChops. What most people don't know is that my first real business, well, it was a complete failure. And honestly, that failure almost made me quit entrepreneurship for good, and VidChops would have never been born. But instead, that failure gave me the one lesson that shaped everything I've built since. And today I want to share that exact same lesson and the whole entire story with you. So go ahead and stick around. So real quick, let's rewind back to my basketball playing days. I mean, basketball was my life. I actually did play Division II college basketball at Cal State Monterey Bay. And after college, I played in Europe a little bit. And during that time, I realized that I wanted to turn my passion of playing basketball into something much bigger. And that's when I launched Baller Bootcamp. It's my old YouTube channel, and it's got a whole bunch of other things to it, like training programs and all that kind of stuff to help players improve their basketball skills. This was way back in 2013, actually. And at first I thought that I was really onto something because my videos, they were getting views, and the channel, it really started to grow. And I even launched some like training programs, some digital products to my community, and everyone really liked them and they did well. Remember, this is back in 2013. But I can remember still at the time thinking that, hey, this is how I'm gonna make a living doing what I love. But here was the thing, you see, passion doesn't always pay the bills. And if you don't understand the business side and all you have is the passion, then you're setting yourself up for failure. But move forward a little bit, I had poured everything into that business. I mean, I filmed endless number of drills at 5:30 in the morning to get the gym when nobody was in there. And I even had kids come into my videos, and I coached kids in person as well, all during this time to bring credibility to the program. To be honest, after 4 or 5 years doing it, it just seemed like the money wasn't quite where I wanted to be after all that time. I had just moved home from playing in Europe and basically quit playing and wanted to go all in. And I was going all in. It was my full-time income, and I was making pretty good money, but it was time to grow, and I was putting this effort into growing. And that's where I was kind of falling short. I mean, the channel itself, it grew to over 200,000 subscribers. And for the amount of money I was making, I felt like I was just working around the clock because I was a one-man band. I was doing all the customer support. I was filming the videos. I was editing the videos. I was creating the training programs. I was doing everything in the business. I was a solopreneur. And so all that effort to make, $50,000 a year, some years it was more, some years less. But to start to see it slip is where I knew that my days of running Baller Bootcamp as my full-time job were probably coming to an end. And that was very discouraging for me because I wanted to do that full-time. I wanted to scale it to $1 million a year of profit, which I wasn't able to do, but that was really my goal in starting it. And to come up short, well, it was kind of hard to take, and I was really considering giving up on entrepreneurship altogether. And so I had to ask myself the hard question of, what do I do with this thing? Do I pivot? Do I push through? Do I abandon it altogether? And that was a tough question. But sometimes the bravest thing you can do as an entrepreneur, I think, is admit when something isn't working and try to move on to the next. Because Baller Bootcamp, it wasn't a complete waste at all, because while I was struggling to really grow it to that 7-figure level, I was learning the whole time. I was learning how YouTube works. I was learning how to film, edit, thumbnails. I was learning digital marketing. I was learning how to build funnels and create products, and even created some physical products that I sourced from China and sold here in the US to my basketball training community. And so did I give up? Did I give up on entrepreneurship altogether? No, obviously I didn't, but I almost did. Because I went back, I got a job, I started teaching computer science at the high school level. And while during that, at the exact same time, I was launching VidChops as my second entrepreneurial venture. But I had this teaching thing as a backup, and well, VidChops started to take off. And so what's the lesson here? What's the lesson here, Augie? Well, failure isn't the end, it's just feedback. And looking back, I realized that my failure with Baller Bootcamp, it wasn't because I didn't work hard enough, or I wasn't smart enough, or wasn't passionate enough, or any of that stuff. It was because I just didn't understand the bigger picture of business. And that entire business was relying on organic views on YouTube, turning into organic traffic to an offer. And when you're relying on the algorithms solely, you're at the mercy of the platform. I was at the mercy of the YouTube algorithm. So when that didn't grow how I wanted it to grow, well, that's where I got discouraged. And that was a huge lesson for me. And as I moved forward with VidChops, to be honest, we've never really relied on straight organic content. We ran ads, and we just have a wide variety of traffic sources that send traffic to VidShops, whether SEO or affiliate or some content, ads, all these different channels. Together, they bring stability to VidShops, giving us diversified traffic sources. And everything that I did with Baller Bootcamp was all just a learning process, because as I moved into VidShops, I knew I didn't want to be just a solopreneur, one-man band, and I needed to hire somebody for customer support and hire managers and hire editors eventually, and all these different things to turn it into a real business and something that stood the time for over 8 years now. And I'm not trying to tell this story to brag or anything, because there's nothing to brag about. I'm still on the grind. So here's the takeaways. It's just, don't be afraid of failure. Be afraid of not learning from your failures, because the truth is that my first business, it really didn't fail. It just prepared me. It gave me the scars and the skills and the strategies that I need to build a future business. And I guess that's VidShops. And if you're going through something similar and you're grinding and struggling and not seeing results like I did with Baller Bootcamp, don't quit. Just ask yourself, am I learning? Do I need to pivot? Do I need to push through? Or do I need to abandon what I'm doing and move on to the next chapter? And hopefully you've learned something from the previous chapter, because that very next chapter, it might just be the breakthrough that you've been waiting for. So start now. And hey, if you're stuck in a rut like I was at that time, I hope that you got some value from this story. And if you did, hit subscribe. I would love to build this community here. I got plenty more stories, lessons, and I'm going to try to build in public here a little bit about VidShops. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button to follow along, and I will see you guys in the next video.